Hi, today we're going to be looking at this Philips Low Barista coffee machine. So I purchased this on eBay about 6 weeks ago, and I think I paid just over £7, which was actually just the postage. And in the description the seller said that the fault was there was just a blinking light on the top and it wouldn't dispense coffee. However, when it arrived it was working fine, and I've used it for about the past 6 weeks. However, this morning when I went to use it, it's actually stopped working and it's showing the fault that the seller said it originally had. So let's plug it in, I'll show you what it's doing, and then we'll take it apart and see if we can figure out what the problem is and hopefully repair it. Got a 4-way extension, so I'll just plug it in. You see the lights just lit up there. Right, so we'll switch it on by pressing the button here, and you can see it just starting to flash slow. That means it's warming up. We'll put a coffee pod in, close the lid, and I'll just get a cup and put it underneath here, just in case it does decide to dispense. It's still warming up. There we go. Then we'll just get a rapid flash like that. And if you try and put it into descale mode, which is holding these two down, you can see that one flashing there. And then just after a few minutes, just like that, it starts flashing again. And that's all it's doing now. So you can't descale it. It's almost like the pump stopped working. So I don't know whether it's something to do with the pump inside, whether it's something to do with the control board or something that drives the pump. But I'm sure we'll figure it out. Right, I'll just get the water and the cup and everything out of the way, and then we'll see how it comes apart. I'll just unplug it from the mains. I might as well get the capsule and that out of the way as well. So that part comes out with the capsule and the little drip tray. So I think this is all going to be clipped together. So I think we're going to have to try and get a spudging tool in at the sides or something and see if we can try prising some of this case off. I think this little part comes off, so I'll get that out of the way. And I think I'll try round here. I'm just trying to get a spudging tool in or something. Or maybe not. I've got a screwdriver. Let's try a screwdriver in there. Right, well, I've got that part popped up a little bit. Let's try the other side. I'll say most of these things aren't designed to be serviced. Aren't even designed to come apart. I've got the front off a little bit. Now what? I see a couple of clips down here on this front part. Let's see if we can pop that bit off. Right, that bit's moved a little bit. Well, the front bits just came off here. So this front section comes off. I can see a couple of wires there now. I'll just get this bit out of the way. Right, so it looks like this control panel plugs in there, and it looks like we've got some screws we can access now, so hopefully we can get this outer case off. So it looks like I need a Torx driver. See any other screws anywhere now then? I think that's half the problem with products these days, is actually trying to figure out how they come apart. Right, got one side off. That was a bit of a job. Let's see if this other, actually see if we can access anything now with that side off. I might have to take the other side off. Let's have a look. And yes, we can access some stuff now. Well, that looks like the pump down here. I've got a few silicone hoses. And that looks like, let's see if I can get that in shot. It looks like we've got a flow sensor down here. So the water comes in from the tank, from here, goes into there, and then comes into the pump and gets pumped through here. I guess this is the heater block. So I wonder if we can remove this. And then we could see if water comes out of there. Right, I'm just going to plug it back in a moment. Just going to get this pipe, and I'll just zoom out a bit. And just put the control panel somewhere like that. Hopefully we'll be able to close the lid still. Right, put that. And let's see if the pump works. See if we get any water squirting out. Well, I can see the heater heating up there because there's water coming out of the heater as it's starting to heat up. And I could feel a vibration while I was trying to pump there. I could feel a little bit of a vibration. But there's obviously nothing coming out here. I think it's the pump. I think there's something wrong with the pump on this. I think that's what the problem is. Either that or the control board that drives the pump. Let's see how we get to this pump then. It looks like there might be a thermal fuse in there as well. I'm just trying to see how this pump comes out. There's some kind of elastic band thing here around the top of it. And then the whole pump might just come out actually. Let's just have a look. Because down here we've got this plastic tab thing. I wonder if that'll poke in, and then I wonder if the pump will come out sideways. I've got these silicone hoses here, and then it seems to be held with this sort of spring arrangement here. I don't know how these hoses come off either. Let's see if I can poke something in here. Right, so that bit wants to come out there. I don't know if it's going to fit out past this bit of plastic. I might have to take this back part off somehow. Ah, we've got another screw underneath. Right, hold on then. That's that bit out. They still don't want to come off. Has it got clips as well? I think it may have. Let's just have a look. Or does it rotate or something? So that bit seems to be separate. There's no more screws in the bottom of it. There's this little rubber foot. I'll try taking that off to see if there's anything under there. And nothing else under there. So I can't actually see what's holding that bit on. Right, I'm just going to pause there and see if I can figure out how to get this bit off. Right, this bit here sort of clips off from this part, and then this part, if you get a screwdriver on the side there, you can kind of lever it up either side and it sort of just unclips as well. Now, as I did that, these bits of plastic fell out. So I don't know where they're from, but I think this has been either damaged in transit or something. So I don't know whether that's part of the original problem or not, but I don't think they came off me doing this. Because they're definitely not from around here. Right, let's see if we can get this pump out then. So I think these just come off like that. Oh, I've got water dripping out now. Let's get some tissue or something to mop that up. And that comes off like that. Right, let's unplug this. It's got the little tabs on. Yeah. Oh, it's a thermal fuse in there, so you can't unplug that one, not without taking the thermal fuse out. Right. Okay, I'll just leave that like that for the moment. What this bit is here. It's just like a rubber shield or something, I guess. So I think I'm going to take this pump apart just to have a look inside of it, just to see what's going on. So I think it's just like a solenoid pump. It should be like a one-way valve, I would think. And some springs. Right. So that's the bit that goes into the bottom there. So there's actually water in there. Just try and keep these bits in the right order. So it looks like we do have some kind of fluid in there. So that's the part that must move up and down inside here. So as it goes down, it squashes and pulls back up. So I'm not sure if they can get this part apart or not. Yes, you can. Well, that looks fine in there. Can't see any problems with that. Let's see if we can get it back together. Might be better to put the O-ring in first. So I guess this electromagnet must move this pit up and down, oscillates that, and that's what makes it pump. So why isn't it working though? What I should have done is try blowing down that tube there. I think I might just try that still, just in case there's some kind of blockage or something. Looks like we may have some kind of one-way valve in there as well. Well, no blockage in there. Well, I'm not too sure so far, unless there's a problem with the actual coil itself, but I could definitely hear something like vibrating. I don't think it's a problem with the inlet, because that's it just there now. No, that's nice and clear. Just checking I've got that together right. Let's just check the resistance of this coil. Let's just get the meter out. Ah. Right, well that looks like the problem, doesn't it? Looks like the coil's gone open circuit. Well, that's strange, because it was working. Let's check my meter's working okay. Right, so that's obviously the problem. Must be a bad connection or something in here, or an intermittent connection. As I say, the pump was working, but that's a shame. I wonder if I can get a replacement pump from somewhere. Well, I've removed the coil from the pump and the little thermal fuse and that there. I want to see if I can find anything on this model number here, which is a AN4, and it's ULKA as the manufacturer. So I'm going to have a look online, see if I can find anything similar or the same, and then we'll come back to it. So I had a look online for a new pump, and a lot of the places that I looked at were either out of stock or no longer available. And where I did find them, they were absolutely ridiculously priced. I think they were about £38. Well, I only paid £7 for the coffee machine. So it's like not really economical to spend £38 or whatever on a new pump. So I thought, is there any way I can fix this? You know, I wondered, has the contacts, has the bond wires broken here where they attach to the spade connectors? So I thought I'd take it over the workshop, and I got the angle grinder on it. And I started slowly grinding away here, and then I noticed something over here. So, I don't know what that is, but I just so happen to have an X-ray machine. So, why don't we X-ray this? We could have done that in the first place, actually, and then we might have been able to see if there was any breaks. So, to the X-ray machine. Right, I've just finished taking an X-ray of the coil. And if we notice here, this is the spade terminals here and here. So the first one, you can see the wire attached goes down here and then into the coil. And the other spade terminal, this is this little black thing that we saw. So, and if you look right in the centre there, it looks like there's a gap in between it. So I'm not sure if this is some kind of fuse. And then you can see the other wire going around, and it goes to a terminal that's round about here. Let's try and zoom in a bit on that. There's definitely a gap there. So I'm going to get the test meter and we'll try measuring from round about here over to the other side of the coil, and we'll see if there's any continuity. Right, back to the bench then. So I've put the pump back together, and I've soldered a 2 amp fuse across those 2 points there. So let's measure the resistance. And we've got about 200 ohms. But then I started thinking, what's caused the fuse to blow? Because this has been working fine for about the past 6 weeks, so there must be something else caused the fuse to go. But then I was thinking, why did it have the problem, but it didn't when it arrived? I was thinking, as something came loose or whatever, or was the heater core blocked? So I've just tried blowing through this hose here. And I cannot blow through that. So I'm just wondering if the heater core's blocked up in this. That's caused the pump to stall, or it's had some kind of partial blockage, or there's something floating around in there that's caused it to block up. That's put too much strain on the pump, and then the fuse is gone. And before that, it was kind of working intermittently. So that's my theory anyway. So I don't know what we're going to do with this. I don't know whether I can get something down these two pipes. If I take this bit of plastic off, I'm not sure what that is actually. Let's try and take this off. Let's have one of those little clips on there. Let's just try going through it now, just out of curiosity. Alright. Well, I'm getting air through there now, so the heater core might actually be okay. It seems like the problem might be something with this. I'm just looking there. Kind of looks a bit black in there or something. So I don't know what all that's about. I'll just move it out of the way. I think I might need a bit of tissue or something. But we've got 3 Torx head screws on this. So let's see what's in here. Looks like some kind of pressure regulator, I think. Perhaps this might be blocked up and that's what's caused the problems. Because that's on the output of the pump. Yeah. It could possibly well be. Right, now does this want to come apart? Well, there's not a lot in there. It is a bit dirty, however. Oh, look at that. Yeah, so I think that's some kind of pressure regulator that regulates the pressure through to the coffee there. I'm going to take this into the kitchen and just give it a bit of a clean, see if I can get any muck out of it. Right, back in a moment. So I've had this soaking in some citric acid for a while, and that's a little bit better, and so's the pipe. It's a lot better that now. Let's pop these screws back in. Right, let's pop this bit back on. Now I know there's an O-ring in there. Maybe better putting that on the pipe first if I can get it out with something. Put this clip back on. Right, it's that bit back on now. And that goes to the coffee head, which is over there. Let's see if we can get this pump back on. I might just put a little bit of insulation tape just over the top of this, just to make it a bit tidier. Something a bit like that. I'll feed this hose through. Now, I've got this round the wrong way, haven't I? That top bit needs to go on the other way. Just take that back out a sec. Right, that went a bit like that, and then this rubber bit swings round into there and holds that in place like that. And that goes onto this pipe here. And then we should have another clip. Right. That's that bit done. There's this thermal fuse to go back in this little thermal fuse holder bit. And then we've got the 2 spade connectors on, which incidentally aren't insulated. I've just put insulation tape over the top of this. Makes me wonder why I bothered. Right, I've got it back together just enough to test to see if it's going to dispense any water. So let's press the button and see what it does. Well, it's flashing there. Got some bubbles going on there. It's busy flashing. Oh. I hear some sizzling. I think I heard a crack there as well. And some fizzling. Right, well that didn't appear to work, did it? I think it just blew that fuse. Let's just see if that fuse blew then, because I did hear sort of some kind of pop. The fuse is actually alright. We've still got 206 ohms across that coil. Let's just try it again, just in case it's... That's the thing that controls the pump's fried. I think we better have a look at that next. It looks like a Holtec chip. It looks like we've got a triac there. I guess that one might be for the pump. And we've got a bigger triac on this heatsink here, which will more than likely be for the heater. I just thought one thing I didn't check was that thermal fuse. Let's measure across brown and white. Let's see if we get any resistance across there. Yes, we do. So I don't understand why this isn't working then. I would have thought we should be getting something on the pump, but it just seems to come straight up with that error. I'm just going to try it again, and I'm going to measure the voltage on the pump this time. So I'm just going to plug it in. Let's press one of the buttons. Yeah, there's power going to the pump there, but the pump isn't oscillating. So this part here that I thought was a fuse, it's actually a diode. And it totally makes sense now I thought about it. So I'll just grab a pen and paper and I'll show you what it does. So we've got our AC coming in like that. And what I thought happened was the middle bit, obviously when it goes positive it pulls it one way, and when it goes negative it pulls it the other way, but that's not the case. What actually happens is we've got the mains coming in like that, but then we've got the coil and then a diode. Yeah. So what happens is, let's say the positive cycle energizes the coil, and then on the negative cycle, because it gets blocked by the diode, it actually doesn't do anything. So the spring then returns the piston. And then on the next positive cycle, it energizes the coil. And then on the next negative cycle, it's de-energized. So it goes like bump, 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 which makes total sense now. Now I've actually thought about it. But I thought this was some kind of protection device, whether it's just like a fuse or something. I didn't think they'd have a diode actually built into the coil itself. I thought this was just a straightforward coil, but I guess not. So learned something new, and I hope you did too. Well, I've disassembled the pump once more just to have a look to see if I could see anything wrong, and I have discovered something. So I've just taken it over the workshop and fixed the problem, but I'll just show you what it was. We'll get it under the microscope. So what happens is, when the magnet energizes, it pulls this part up to here. Yeah. And this part here and this part here sort of go together like that with the spring in between. And then when the coil de-energizes, the spring pushes them apart. So this part goes backwards and forwards and this part stays still. Right, so these two parts, here and here, what was happening was there was a slight burr on this part here, and I've just used some wet and dry to smooth it out and get rid of the little lip that was there. You might just be able to see where it was. And on this part, just around the very edge here, there was also a little bit of a wear mark and a little bit of a lip. Now this pump's from 2024. It's got the date there, so I don't understand. I think this must have been faulty from the factory. So what was happening was, when this part was hitting this part, sometimes they would bind together like that, and then they wouldn't come apart. So effectively the pump was jamming, and then it just wouldn't pump. So that's the root cause of the problem. So hopefully, since I've sanded that bit down, and sanded this bit down to get rid of those little burrs and lips on it, you can actually see one of the quite dints in it there. So once I've done that, this doesn't seem to be binding now, because you could get these to actually stick together before, and now they're not. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put it all back together. We'll try it now, and hopefully I'll get a cup of coffee at the end of it. Right, so we've got this stop part here, and the big spring. There you go in the bottom there. And I've put the O-ring on this top part already. And we've got this piston that goes in here. And then this little return spring. And then the top of this is actually a little one-way valve. So obviously as it goes backwards and forwards, the water gets pushed up past this point and then it can't return, and that's how it actually pumps the water forward. This part here now. Should just clip in there like that. And then I'll put the screws back in, and then we'll fit it back to the machine. So I've just finished putting the pump back in the machine. And also what I've done, I've primed the pump this time as well. So what I did was I undone that part here, and then put my mouth over there and sort of sealed, and then blew down here to try and get some water through the pipe. That seems to have worked okay. So I'm just going to plug it in. Let's just get a cup under it. And let's see what it does now. So it's just warming up. And hopefully we get some water out of the end of it. Or at least it's making the noise. Oh, a few drips. And we've got hot water coming out. So I think what I'll do next then, I'll get the sides and that back on, we'll take it in the kitchen and we'll see if we can make a cup of coffee with it. Well, it looks quite promising up there now. There's definitely water coming out there now. Excellent. And I've just put a bit hot glue back on the thermal fuse there just to hold it in place, because that's what was on there originally. Just thought I'd heat some milk up in the microwave there. And then what we'll do is we'll put the cup under the coffee machine, and hopefully I'll be able to make a nice cup of coffee. Let's get this cup out. Right, let's press the button, and hopefully I'll be able to enjoy a nice cup of coffee after this, and a well-deserved one, I think. The light's just flashing on the top. I've already got a capsule in. And it looks like we've got coffee coming out. Excellent! Right, just get that out and give it a quick stir. Cheers! And hopefully I'll see you in the next one.